good that you do, which, Kylie, you do so much of that.
Oh, Jenni, so do you. I think we both have a very similar ethos around us and behind our businesses, is that we want to do more than just make money for ourselves. Am I right?
100%, 100%.
So last time we were talking about the kinds of different things that you can get involved in.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't even realize that they already are doing things for the greater good. For example, it might even just be how you choose to do your packaging, how you choose to, volunteer your time, like, as a mentor, or, there's so many different ways. So Definitely. We talked a lot about that. But before we jump into our USP, and some people might even be wondering, what even is a USP? So how about you just let us know that? How was America?
America was amazing. We had 2 weeks away for a conference with the National Minority Development Supplier Conference, which is a very large group of organizations of minority businesses from Asian, Hispanic, Latino, Native American is starting to come into that space, although they don't currently recognize them as a minority business, which is interesting, and Black businesses in America. So the conference was phenomenal, 5,000 people, all talking about supplier diversity, social corporate responsibility, how to improve your diversity and equity and inclusion policies within your business. So it was an incredible conference.
Wow.
Amazing insights and great connections.
So to say, did you just come home feeling inspired and ready to pump it?
I really did. And what I realized is that Australia do things so well. So in the clients that I'm blessed to work with, we do a lot of work in what we call the CSG space, the corporate social responsibility space. And that's the space where you do business for good, really. It's not just about the profit, and it's really, talked about the extra things that you do to impact community, social responsibility, environment, and things like that. And in the US, they've only just started to have that conversation. It's always been just about minority businesses or about diversity and inclusion. They haven't really started to explore that ESG or that CSG space. And so it was really interesting, that broader strategy about why we're doing it and what the greater impact is very new to America. And so I'm excited about that because particularly in the space that we're looking at, people have been just focusing on, I'm a minority business, I get great work. And I was like, yeah, but there's more than that. And so when these businesses are doing things like $16 billion, $100 billion businesses, they're just getting great business. They haven't thought about that broader impact. And so it was really interesting to hear people discussing, well, what is this CSG? What is this kind of doing business for good thing outside just the minority business sector?
Wow, I love it. I'm so pleased you got that opportunity, because what you're doing here is incredible. So to, have a part of what's going on over there is awesome. And
yeah, I'm very blessed to have been able to go across and see. I mean, New Orleans is amazing. Next year, the conference is in Baltimore. So we're really hoping to get across to the conference in Baltimore and taking some of our team with us in next year as well, just to really promote and involve ourselves in the conversation a little bit more. We were it's our first time, so we sort of sat back and just observed. And I think, our goal next year will be to try and be a little bit more involved in some of the conversations.
Awesome, Jenni. I'm so pleased for you. That's fantastic. So what about if you share what's your view on a USP? For starters, I don't actually like the words unique selling proposition. I prefer unique selling point. What's the point that you want to get across that makes your business different? Well, I personally feel like if you really want to succeed in business, you absolutely need to have a unique selling point and really understand it in your brain.
Yeah, agree.
And you've got to be able to show what's different about your business. Why do they choose yours over the business down the road, or the business that's coming first in a Google search or something? So
yeah, I use the term value proposition over unique selling proposition, because sometimes what you're doing is not necessarily unique to somebody else. But what I look at is what is the value of working with you over the value of working somebody else. So 2 business coaches can give essentially the same service. So the same proposition might be there in terms of what you do, and you could, you do that value stack and everything looks the same. But what we're actually saying is, what is the value of working with me or working with you or working with a particular company that I'm going to give you that you're not going to get from the other company? So that additional value piece is where I like to focus. And so for businesses who are really doing good with their work, whether it's environmental packaging, as you've said, doing pro bono coaching or low bono coaching, giving back to community. That's a value add to the company. And what that does is allows the company to actually be aligned with your values and also aligned with the outcomes that you're gaining. So more and more we're in a space where companies want to align with partners that have same values and same intention in the way they do business. It's no longer just about making money, as you said earlier. And so for me, it's about what is the value proposition that you're giving to a client that is for them. So it's unique to them. It may not be unique to everybody, but it's what is unique to them. So when we're talking, and you always talk about making sure you have that really clear avatar and that one person that you're talking to, what is the value you're giving that one person? I know when we first met, that really resonated with me. So when I went back and looked at my value proposition, I was like, who am I actually talking to? Not the group, not the whole business sector, but who is that one client that I want to resonate with the value that I'm giving them?
It's so important, isn't it? I'm glad you brought that up, because yes, knowing exactly who that is so that you can really be clear on not only who you're speaking to, but actually what it is that you're offering. And when you look out there and you look at your current clients or your current customers or your current followers on socials, are they actually who you want to be working with? So maybe it's time to tweak that. And I love that you're calling it the value proposition. I think that's really great, because you're right. Often what we're doing is not necessarily unique, but what is the value that we're giving? I love that.
And I know you and I always talk about the term selling, like we don't like that. I mean, I was a sales manager for 15 years, so I can sell, but the term selling always feels a bit strange, right? So we talk about solution sales, we talk about, relationship sales, or, there's all different models that we talk about for selling. But the key thing I love about a value proposition discussion is that it's going to be different for every client. And so I guess particularly for the products that I'm selling and the work that you're doing, because the reason someone comes to us and uses us, fundamentally, we know their pains and their problems are the same. Like they're the same for everybody. But the value that individual is taking away from the conversation may be different to the other client. And so it's about how do we make sure that everybody is feeling like they're heard, they're getting their needs met, but also that you're actually having that conversation about what is this doing for you? Why is your life different by using this product or service? And whether it's makeup, whether it's, clothing, whether it's, hand products, whether it's a brim for your hat, whatever it is, the value it's giving to you will be different depending on the situation and your context. And so I think having that ability to, being really clear about that value proposition or your unique selling proposition, if you want to use that term, is around saying, why do you want to use me? But also it goes beyond the physical product, right? Or the physical service. And it starts to play in that lovely kind of the ripple effect, if you like, of engagement and relationships. It's what is the ripples that you get that you're not paying for, but you get as the value from using that product or service.
Yeah, absolutely love that. One thing that I try and get people working on when I'm clients working in or teaching it or whatever is, what is just one thing? I know we can be good at lots and lots of things, but how about we just focus on one thing? So that can be on your homepage. You just want to try and focus on one thing that is some amazing value that you'll give, or that they're going to be learning from you, or on your product description page, just focus on one thing. There might be 10 awesome things, but how about really try and highlight just one? Because when we try and be known for lots of things or everything, then really we don't become known for anything. So trying to pick out that one thing that really shines and is really special. So for example, for me, I love that word uncomplify. I feel like I do a really good job of uncomplifying things for people. Sometimes it feels for them, I'm sure, that I'm making it way more complicated, but then we unpack it, we bring it back, we look at their insights, we look at where shouldn't you be spending your time? Where should you be spending your time? How can we uncomplify it? What about for you, Jenni? What do you feel if you just had to sum it up in one word?
I mean, mine is clarity. I mean, my website, if you go to my website, the front page says clarity is the answer to every problem. And for me, that's entirely what I give. I provide people clarity. I did a workshop yesterday. I was blessed to work with a beautiful company, and we're building their next reconciliation action plan. And the whole conversation we had yesterday was about clarity, about what is their intention and expectation. So we did a workshop. What are they trying to look at doing? Where do they want to go with it? What areas do they want to work in? But ultimately, it was about them gaining clarity about what they want this document to look like and what the impact it's going to have on them. So there's a lot of other bits that I could talk about. We could talk about that impact. We could talk about, developing the pillars. We could talk about developing the content, but all of that doesn't matter without clarity. The same in business. So for me, definitely clarity.
Yeah, it's such a good one. It just reminds me of this online course that I've been writing for now at least 2 years. And the block constantly with it is the clarity, because in my industry, it changes so quickly that just when I'm working on something, then that completely changes. Yes. And then off we go again, And so, yeah, it's the clarity piece is so hard at this point because of the changes. So maybe, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely, while there's so many changes in the social space right now, particularly Facebook in terms of how we use our personal account, now we can all become professional. Oh my goodness, it's just mind-blowing.
And for you though, that's the USP that you bring, or the value proposition that you bring, is that your ability to be ahead of the curve and ahead of the market, and being really responsive for your clients on knowing what's happening in the market. I don't want to have to do that research. I don't want to have to spend my time checking to see what algorithms are changing on all the different social media. And so that's the value of working with someone like you, or particularly you, is that you're ahead of all those changes, and you don't publish something knowing it's going to change in a day. You wait and you're considered, and you release the information. Instead of making that course, which you could release today and people would buy and it would be phenomenal, you would know that it's slightly out of date. The reality, would it impact your clients? Probably not, because the content is still valuable and you could still sell it and you'd be amazing. But instead of doing that, your value is you're saying, you know what, I just need to tell them what's happening today. I don't want to put it in a course because tomorrow will be outdated. And so that piece about being ahead and staying ahead and being open and really transparent about what's happening in the market, that's a massive value proposition.
Good point, Jenni, and thank you for that. It's so true. It makes me feel better about this. Just not able to get it out there, and I'm always blown away.
And maybe the clarity is, it's what you should be sharing is not actually about the social media, but rather than the tactics and the strategy, which is the stuff that you do so well behind the scenes. And the social media is just social media, whatever it looks like. And I discovered my 13-year-old stepchild has 4 different social media sites that I didn't even know existed on their phone right now. And so it doesn't really matter what the social media platform is, right? The social media platform is going to always be there. It's the tactics you use to amplify your presence on those. Absolutely. That's what you give. That's the value you give. It's not the platform. The platform doesn't really matter.
You're dead right. You're absolutely right. I was part of a business conference last week on Thursday and Friday, and there was lots of great things happening in it. But my favorite part was a debate. They brought on someone from YouTube. They brought on someone from all different parts of the world. And each person was needing to really sell their platform and why this is better. And it was really, really fascinating. What I loved also is each one of them had to say what wasn't great about their platform.
I love that.
That was really clever. So even that in itself, sharing that value proposition or that unique selling point was really, really fabulous and fun. So
one of the things to remember though, I think, Kylie, and you shared this with me also many, many years ago, is that you don't have one value proposition. So let's think about social media, that each individual platform has its own value proposition. And even within that, each aspect of that has a separate value proposition. So if you're doing the value proposition for a reel versus a story versus a static post on Insta, all have different value depending on the client, who you're targeting, what you're trying to achieve through your Instagram page. If you're doing it as a photo journal, you probably don't need reels necessarily. You might just want to be capturing your life in photos. That's what that's what Instagram was originally for, right? So when we're looking at our businesses, it's really important to remember that each of your products and sometimes the segments of your product have its own value proposition, and that will resonate differently with different people. So don't feel like we need to be stuck in this one spot saying this is the only value proposition or USP that we have. We can have multiple. In fact, we should have multiple. And you taught me that like 3 years ago.
I'm totally hearing you there. I think that's magic. It's definitely, and when you think about each place, so let's just use Instagram for example, you can't just think what you're going to be putting out on Instagram. It's what am I putting out on stories? What am I putting out as a reel? What am I putting out just into the general feed? What am I also putting out in terms of my engagement with other accounts? So yeah, each one of those needs its own lot of thought and time and effort going into it. So I'm always overwhelmed, or not overwhelmed, maybe just blown away by the people that just literally just just put stuff out endlessly, maybe a little, I don't want to use the word mindlessly, but it always feels like that, where actually you need to sit down and think, is what I'm putting out there actually going to be helping my business, or is it just to be extra noise? Yeah. And that's what I'd rather do, less posts a week and have them absolutely nailing what my message is, than just the endless diatribe of stuff that can so often fly out there. So,
but I think we're in the age of volume, though, isn't it? That's the challenge at the moment. Everyone's about volume. What do I get? What do I get? What do I get? How much do I get? How much time is it? What does it look like? And so we feel, and not we, but the collective, we feel that the more you put out, the more visible you get. But I think that's the point. It's like the spam of social media now. If you are just putting out noise, people are going to eventually just even if they don't unfollow you, they just won't look at it anymore. And that it'll still be, and you might think it's getting scrolled through, you might think it's getting seen, you might even see a view on it, but they're not actually paying attention to it. And it's that old adage of do I hear you or do I listen to you? And I think sometimes social media is a bit like that. We might hear you, but we're not really listening. And I think that when we start to put out social media content that is just that noise, it's just there. I know you're there, but I'm not interested in actually listening to the conversation. And I think when we start to miss that gap, and we don't listen, and we can't, and our clients aren't listening to us, or potential clients aren't listening to us, that's when we need to stop and say, well, what is this USP? What is the value of the content we're putting down? Let's take a breath. Let's take a pause. I mean, I know I'm like 7 days behind on my Instagram, right? When I was traveling, I was, a couple of days behind. I'd post them here, and my amazing team were posting reels of the videos and stuff that we were taking while we were away. And so, putting some stories out and things while we were away. And I've come back going, oh my gosh, I'm a week behind on my Instagram. And I could sit and smash out content. But you know what? I actually want to say I've been away for 2 weeks. I want to actually look at the posts that we were originally going to schedule for that and say, are these still relevant given the content that I've had and this separation? And what do we want to do now? And how has that changed since I've been back? And I'm okay to have a pause for 7 days. I know it's probably not ideal for visibility, but at least then when I come back, the content will be, it'll be appropriate, it'll be valuable, and it will hopefully encourage people to listen to what we're trying to say.
Good for you. It's pause and take stock, isn't it? I actually have, for all of our social media management clients, and for Hello Media, and for Positive Passionate Businesswomen, a bit of a backup of content. So it's generic content. It might be beautiful quotes or just little tips that if there's going to be a big shift and I need to change tact or something, that there's stuff that can just go out that is always going to be relevant, particularly if it's something that's just going to be inspiring. I'm a big lover of a really powerful quote. So, just having a little bit of that to go out in the meantime while we're restructuring or something in the background. And we've recently done that with Hello Media and done a big strategy shift. And yeah, it takes a little while to feel your feet again and really get going with your new messages, etc. So
it really does.
Good on you for pausing and then not feeling
still
stressed.
Here. We're just a little quiet.
Yeah, I love it. So in terms of something that you do that's amazing, and how to then share that without, I know a lot of people feel very awkward. And what I love, and we talked last time about B1G1, and what I love about when I was involved with them is that you get a widget to put on your website. So you don't need to do any of the shouting it out from the rooftops. This is what I do that's really awesome, etc. It's just sitting there, ticking away, updating itself, and it's like, yeah, that's cool. But for those of us that don't have something like that, then coming up with a way to share it without feeling like, I don't know, some of us might feel like a bit of a, what word is there for it that's a polite word? I'm not sure. But
well, I actually had this conversation yesterday in this workshop I was talking about. The company that I'm working with has been doing good in the community since the business started. It's a very family-directed business, family-oriented business, and they've been doing good as part of their DNA. And since there's been a whole lot of changes in the way government's sort of approaching Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, there's now structure and framework around what they just used to do every day. And so now they're feeling like it's not what was originally just part of their DNA, and they just did under the radar, not because it was under the radar, it was just because of that what they did. Now they don't want to promote it because they don't want to feel like it's becoming leveraging this framework as a promotion tool as opposed to what they do. And I think that's what you're trying to say. And the conversation I had with them is if you want to attract companies or people or customers that are aligned to your values, if doing good is part of your DNA and part of your value set, then sharing your values is actually never going to be ingenuous, is never going to be self-promotion. It's simply saying, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how we show up. And if this aligns with you and you align with it, then we want to talk to you and we want to work with you. And I think that's where we change the conversation around promoting what we do, is simply we're informing the community about who we are. And I think that's the piece we forget, is that actually people want to work with good companies. They fundamentally do. We're humans. We want to work with people who are aligned with our values, who are going to have a value, not only from a beliefs and values alignment, but we're going to get a value exchange out of. We're going to build a relationship with, and then we're going to feel valued in that conversation. So the word value has a whole lot of different connotations in that statement, right? So if you're not sharing that and promoting that, then how is somebody going to know that's who you are? So
yeah, absolutely.
We just need to step away and think it's not about self-promotion. It's about actually just telling the world who you are as a business, what you stand for, what you stand against, and being proud and able to stand in that and defend that if you need to. And that's okay, but be okay with that. And I think we have this kind of sense of humility of like, oh, I can't tell people that I gave some money to charity. I can't tell people that I'm doing this. I was so proud of the fact that we're sponsoring a Ulari student as of next year. Now, that's not self-promotion. That is me just being proud that we're in a position to be able to do that. That is what we've always wanted to do. And we're now able to do that after 5 years in business, because we're doing something that aligns with our values.
Awesome.
Why would I hide that?
Absolutely. That's so beautifully said. Why would you hide it? For sure. So how are you going to do it then? So for example, on my website, I have the about page and the about the team page, but I also have this really magic little page called the why and what of us. So it doesn't.
I love this page of yours.
Yeah, thanks. It doesn't specify exactly what it is that we're doing, but it definitely talks about who we work with, what we do, what we feel about how we do it, and the kind of people that we would then want to attract.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think that that's a really powerful page for those clients of mine that have adopted that strategy also and done something different, but that works for them. For them also, those pages have been really powerful and great performers, because you get a sense of who that company is and who that person behind leading the company is, before you've even then reached out for the next stage to buy or work with, or whatever it is.
And I think more and more, particularly in our industry, when we're talking about service providers, I mean, we know that there are coaches coming out of the woodwork, there are social media coaches and marketing managers coming out of the woodwork who may or may not have credentials behind them and may or may not have the experience, and that's part of the industry, right? So I think for us as experienced coaches and experienced people in our industries, is that we need to be able to share on a deeper space than just the work that we do. Because people stay with us not just because we're good coaches or good marketing managers and your digital marketing coaches, it's because we actually have a value alignment. We care about the clients we work with. We are invested in the outcomes that they have. And that's a difference. That's a differentiator. So it may not be unique, because other people also care about their clients. Other people also are invested, but it's the way that we do that. That's the differentiator. So when we think about a USP or a unique selling proposition or even a value proposition, for me, it's about what is a differentiator about the way that you do that and the feeling that you get. And it's about transitioning. For me, a value proposition or USP is about transitioning the conversation, the sale from a brain sale and a thought process into a heart sale. It's transitioning it from something that I think that I need into something that I want to have, something that I want to be part of. And I think that's where the value of VPs and USPs come in.
I just love that you said turning it from a brain sale to a heart sale. That's so true, because at the end of the day, what is going to make me buy something? It's that I'm going to feel something, right? Yes. I feel I need it, or I'm frightened, so I have to have it, or I'm in love with it, so I have to have it. There's got to be some kind of emotion that makes me take action.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Go, Jenni, the heart sale. So, yay. Well, let's finish up on that glorious note of heart sale. And next time, I think it'd be wonderful to chat more about the selling stage of business? You know, what do you get
Yes.
to? I know a lot of people are getting to that point where they're getting super visible, they're getting their message out there or whatever, but they're not actually able to do that sell point. As you know, I prefer the word help to sale. How can my product help you, or how can my service help you, rather than, oh, buy my stuff. So yeah, are you up for chatting about?
I think that would be lovely.
Selling?
As you said, as a former sales manager, I completely understand, and even I don't like the word sales sometimes. So I would think it's a great conversation to have about how we can get comfortable with selling.
Yeah, and I think how we can get comfortable with selling is so true. You know, we've got Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales coming up. We've got obviously Christmas sales come up. I was just saying in group coaching yesterday, whatever happened to Boxing Day sales? People would be excited all year for the Boxing Day sales, and now there's some kind of sale going on constantly,
all the time.
So yeah, how to stand out in the crowd with selling and not having to always be bargaining or discounting or
exactly.
You know, standing
Before
in
we
your
do
power.
finish up though, I would like to just note that it is Remembrance Day. It's 11th to the 11th today in Australia, and so for those who are listening today, we want to just pay our respects to all the servicemen and women who are currently and have previously served, and pay respect to the service and the gift they've given us over the last several hundred years.
Jenni, thank you for that. I didn't even notice the date yet. So yeah, wow, what an important one. What an important one. Thank you for that. I'm magic. I'm going to take a moment and reflect on that. So thank you very much.
So how can we get in contact with you between now and next week, Kylie, if we want to chat to you about your digital marketing and how you can help people actually build their USP, because that's something that you do so well.
Thank you. Hellomedia.team. Jump onto the web, find us through that, all the socials, all the places you can find through the website. What about you, Jenni? How can people get in touch with you?
So at Elephant in the Room AU on Insta and Facebook, soon to be our website. So at Elephant in the Room AU is the easiest way to find us. Type that into Google and we will pop up in all the different platforms that you need to find us.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I look forward to seeing you next week, and have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful Remembrance Day. And also, just for those listening, good luck at your awards over the next couple of weeks. Kylie is up for some incredible awards and we're very, very proud, and we're hoping, I can't wait to hear, and I'm sure you're going to win. I have like every fingers crossed. It's going to be amazing, but you deserve every recognition that you have and the incredible awards. So congratulations on being nominated and being a finalist, and good luck. Thank you so much. You know, honestly, I'm not even preparing a speech for if I win, because I feel like that will jinx it. And I'm just so chuffed to be a finalist. That feels like a really big thing for me. So it is. It's a national award. So to be recognized for a national award at any level is phenomenal. And I think that's an incredible opportunity. And for you to get to go down to Sydney for the weekend and have a lovely time. I'm sure you'll do really well. And we look forward to seeing the incredible photos of you at the award ceremony. I'm looking forward to a bit of red carpet action. Love it. That'd be fun. All right. Thanks so much. Earrings. Yeah, they're so beautiful. They'd actually match my outfit beautifully. That's a shame. All right, you have a wonderful weekend, and thanks everyone for listening, and join us next time.